I know a lot of pro people say horizontal, vertical, kind of the most key in any game. Well, honestly, that's not even true. So let me explain what I mean. So basically, I've been a pro at Battlefield 1. I've always been the best. I was always the best. People ask me, how do I get this good, this, that. And I always told them, you have to learn your own sensitivity, right? So exactly what I mean by that is your dead zones, right? Horizontal and vertical, these two do not matter, right? You can put them up to a 20/20 or a 13/13. It doesn't really matter, right? I personally play. I'm learning the what you call it. I'm learning the horizontal and vertical. So with that, let's say you have a 5/5 and you have a 0 dead zone. Let's say you have a 5/5 with a 10 dead zone on your right stick. What's the difference is that when you have a 0 dead zone, there's no resistance. But when you have a 10, there is a resistance to a certain extent, right? So if you play on a 5/5, it's obviously going to be slower if you use a 10/10. And why do I say that? Well, personally, because you see this little bitty red circle. So let's say you're trying to flick on somebody. That 5/5 is not a 5/5 than what you think. If you have a 10 dead zone, right? So let's say you even have like a 6 or a 5. Well, that's still not going to do anything. Why? Because you're going to have more than a 5/5. You're more going to have more of like a 6/7 more than you would have as a 5/5 horizontal vertical in a 5 dead zone. Okay, let's say you ran an 8 and 8, right? And you have a 12 dead zone. That exactly, an 8/8 with a 12 dead zone on your right stick would look more of like a 6/6, right? The more higher of dead zone you do go, the slower it'll be. So even if you put your horizontal vertical up to 11 and 11 and you run it at a 15 dead zone, it's not going to be 11/11 horizontal vertical. It's not going to be that. And why do I say that? Because obviously, when you're running a higher dead zone with a higher movement, you're not going to have that high of a horizontal and vertical than what you would think you would. It's more so like when you're trying to flick onto somebody, you have a lower horizontal and vertical with a 5/5 and a 5 dead zone. You're not going to be able to flick on them because it's too slow, because it's not a 5/5. But if you have 11/11 with a higher dead zone, you're going to flick onto them not because you have a higher horizontal and vertical, but because you're dead zone. And a lot of people say that it's more about your horizontal vertical. That's 100% a lie.